Om Prapannaparijataya Totravetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. We are in the 6th chapter, first sloka. Shri Bhagavān uvacha anashritah karma palam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyāsī ca yogi ca na niragniḥ na Cākriyaḥ. So Bhagavān in this chapter, in the first few slokas, he is going to talk about 4 main topics: Bahiranga sadhana, Antaranga sadhana, Jnana phalam and Jnana lakshana, or Dhyana swarupa and Dhyana phalam. Dhyana swarupa, Dhyana phalam, Bahiranga sadhana and Antaranga sadhana. In this, the first sloka talks about Bahiranga sadhana. Bhagavan talks about Karma Yoga. And he now in this sloka praises Karma Yogi. And he praises Karma Yogi to be a Parama Sannyāsī. And we saw in the last class how this comparison is made. It is based on a single guna. It's called as guna vritti. They both share a same shared quality. They both share a quality, and that quality is renunciation. A sannyasi renounces actions. He renounces worldly involvement. A karma yogi also renounces, but he does not renounce action. He does not renounce worldly involvement. He renounces the results of the action. So they both share the guna of renunciation, and therefore Bhagavan talks karma yogi to be a parama sannyasi. Bhagavan also compares this karma yogi to be a yogi. When we say yogi here, it means Dhyana yogi. A Dhyana yogi is one who has got mental calmness, maturity. So how is that? What kind of gunavritti here? Both share the common guna of mental calmness. A karma yogi would have been able to calm the mind to a certain extent. A karma yogi would have been able to reduce the raga dvesha, reduce agitation, reduce anxiety. So therefore the mind is better prepared. But complete mastery of the mind is only possible through Dhyana yoga, through Jnana. So a Dhyana yogi would have a complete mastery of the mind. But again, Bhagavan wants to praise Karma Yogi. He wants people to follow Karma Yoga. And therefore Bhagavan says a karma yogi is a Parama Sannyāsī and a Parama Yogi. And if you go to the sloka, Anashritah karma palam karyam karma karoti yah. Anashritah means without depending on, without expecting. Without expecting on what? Karma palam, the results of the action. So we should not, whenever we perform an action, we should not look for favorable results only. And what sort of actions that we have to do? Karyam karma, the actions that must be done, our duties. So we must perform the duties without having any favorable or unfavorable thoughts about the results. Yaha karoti, who performs? So one who performs the actions that must be done without expecting the results of the action. Bhagavan in the second line is going to say, Sa Sannyāsī, Sa Yogi. He is the Sannyāsī, he is the Yogi. So the first line, Bhagavan is giving the Lakshana of Karma Yoga. Anashrita karma palam. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. I have the right over the action alone. I do not enjoy any right over the results of the action. It's the same thing Bhagavan says here. And Bhagavan says, Sa Sannyāsī, Sa Yogi, Sa Niragniḥ, Sa Akriyaḥ. So he gives 4 things. He is a Sannyāsī. Na Niragniḥ, na Akriyaḥ. That is, he is a Sannyāsī, but he is not a Niragniḥ. He is a Sannyāsī, but not an Akriyaḥ. That is how Bhagavan says. So we'll dwell a little deep on this one. So Karma Yogi is a Sannyāsī, Bhagavan says. And Bhagavan does not even stop with Sannyāsī. He says the Karma Yogi is also a Yogi. What is a Sannyāsī and what is a Yogi? Sannyāsī is a person who has dedicated his life for Jnana Yoga. So he is in the stage of Shravana Mananam. Being in Sannyasa Ashrama, he is dedicating his life for getting Atma Jnana. Therefore, his primary responsibilities or primary sadhanas would be Shravana Mananam. He is engaged in Jnana Yoga. So he is a Karma Yogi is equivalent to a Sannyasi. He is also equivalent to a Yogi. What is a Yogi? Yogi means a Dhyana Yogi Nishtaha. He is a person who is performing Dhyanam as a sadhana. Who can perform Dhyanam as a sadhana? One is of course a Aupāsana person for the purpose of gaining mental concentration, mental orientation towards one fixed thought, to get the fixed thought. But here, Dhyana Yogi here refers to the person who is doing Nididhyasana. So which means this person has been able to complete Shravana Mananam and is now engaged in Nididhyasana. Basically, he is contemplating on Atma Tattva. So a Yogi is a Sannyasi who is engaged in Nididhyasana. And so Bhagavan says, a Karma Yogi is equal to these people, a Sannyasi and a Yogi. Now for this Sannyasi and Yogi, you have to understand, they wouldn't have been able to come to this stage of life where they are a Sannyasi or Yogi without having been a Karma Yogi before. Only through Karma Yoga, a person is able to get Chitta Shuddhi. The person would have been able to get Vairagya. Only after getting Vairagya, a person would have been able to take up Sannyasa. And the person would have also been able to do Dhyana as a Aupāsana to get the mind focused. And only then that person would have been able to now take up Sannyasa for performing Jnana Yoga Sadhana. Or after that become a Yogi to do Nididhyasana. So a Sannyasi or a Yogi would have gone past all these sadhanas. So definitely a Sannyasi or a Dhyana Yogi is at a much higher level than a Karma Yogi. But Bhagavan, to cheer up the Karma Yogi or to actually encourage us to do Karma Yoga, he equates a Karma Yogi to a Sannyasi and a Yogi. And Shankara Bhagavad he actually makes it very clear that a Karma Yogi should not think, I am a Sannyasi, I am a Yogi. It is just that Bhagavan wants to motivate, encourage the Karma Yogi. And one cannot skip Karma Yoga to come to Dhyana Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? To be leading a life of Dharma. What is a Jnani's life? Jnani's life is beyond Dharma and Adharma. Jnani's actions will not be classified as dharma or adharma. Jnani's actions will not incur papa or punya. So to reach the stage of a state beyond dharma, one must follow dharma. Without following dharma, one cannot reach the state of being beyond dharma and adharma. In other words, nobody can skip following dharma to renounce dharma. Only after proper anushtana of dharma can one is eligible to renounce dharma. So sa sannyāsī, sa yogi. Then Bhagavan says, cha na niragniḥ na akriyaḥ. See, a sannyasi, one of the sannyasi lakshana is niragniḥ. Niragniḥ means, the opposite of niragniḥ, sagniḥ. Sagniḥ, a Gṛhastha ashrama lakshana is sagniḥ, which means, according to Vedic Sampradaya or Veda Shastras, a person goes from Brahmacharya to Gṛhastha ashrama. Brahmacharya ashrama to Gṛhastha ashrama. So what happens at the time of the marriage, the wedding marriage, a sacred fire is established during the wedding. The wedding ritual comprises of a fire being prepared. That fire is called as Aupāsana Agni, we can say, or Gārgavādhya Agni. Gārgavādhya Agni means an Agni as mentioned in the Grihya Sutras. Now this Agni has to be carried from that ritual and it has to be taken to the house of the Gṛhastha, and he has to constantly maintain that Agni throughout his life. It is the responsibility of both husband and wife to maintain that Agni. And a person who does Aupāsana on a daily basis is called as a Nitya Agnihotri. So this Aupāsana Homa Agni, this is maintained in the house. This has to be constantly burning. That the fire cannot go down at all. It cannot be brought down, cannot be taken off. And that same Agni will be used for all the samskaras later on. At home, any homa has to be done, it has to be the same Agni that has to be brought in. Or any other yajna that the Gṛhastha does, it has to be from the same Agni. So every Vedic householder in those days will have Aupāsana Agni. And this Nitya Agnihotri has to be performed twice a day, morning and evening. The Gṛhastha should not let the Agni die down. The fire must be constantly burning from the day of the marriage until when it can die down only on two conditions. One, when the person dies, so the same Agni will be used for performing the final rites. With that Agni will be brought out. Or when the Gṛhastha takes up sannyasa. When the Gṛhastha takes up sannyasa because he had got vairagya, here too we can say the Gṛhastha is as good as dead. Philosophically dead. He takes up another name. He actually, at the time of sannyasa, he performs final rites for himself and he takes up sannyasa. That is why a sannyasi's photos can be garlanded. Otherwise, nobody living person you can garland a photo. So, Niragniḥ means a sannyasi who has given up the Agni. One has given up all the Vedic rituals. So a sannyasi does not need to do Aupāsana. There is no ritual for him. In fact, a sannyasi should not touch Agni. And therefore a sannyasi cannot cook food. He should only take bhiksha from others. A sannyasi would not have any sacred thread. And therefore he is not supposed to deal with fire also. He is supposed to be Niragniḥ. So Bhagavān says, here is a karma yogi, he is a sannyasi, but he is not a Niragniḥ. Na Niragniḥ. And then Akriyaḥ. Akriyaḥ also refers to a sannyasi. Kriyaḥ means activities. Akriyaḥ means he has no activities. He has no responsibilities. Who can say that a person, I do not have any responsibilities? Only a sannyasi can say that he has no responsibilities. A sannyasi does not have social responsibility. A sannyasi does not have any family responsibility. So another meaning for Akriyaḥ is there are certain duties that do not require Agni. For example, as a householder, as a Gṛhastha, apart from Aupāsana ritual that a person must do, there are other duties prescribed which do not involve fire ritual. For example, a householder, Yajna, Dhyāna, Tapas. For Yajna, you need Agni. For Dhyāna, Dhanam, you don't need Agni. For Tapas, you don't need Agni. But these are also the duties of a householder. So some vratas they take that do not require Agni. So Akriyaḥ means these are duties prescribed by the Vedas, but they do not require Agni. So Sannyāsī refers to Niragniḥ, and Yogi we can say refers to Akriyaḥ. Akriyaḥ means Yogi is what? Is a person who is in meditation. And if he is in meditation throughout most of the time, he will have no responsibilities, he will not do any activities. So Akriyaḥ here means an external meditator. So Bhagavan says, Na Niragniḥ, na Akriyaḥ. And if you look deeply, we will say, a person who has just renounced Agni, a person who has just renounced Agni is not a sannyasi. A person who has just renounced duties is not a yogi. Just because a person, for example, you can also interpret it this way. We have already said, although he is a sannyasi, but he has not renounced Agni. He is a yogi, but he is not renounced actions. Who? Karma yogi. Now another way to interpret this is, just because somebody has renounced Agni, he cannot be called as a sannyasi. For example, if a person does not do fire rituals, just because I am not doing fire rituals, I cannot become a sannyasi. Or just because I am not taking up any responsibilities, I am sitting idle, I cannot be called as a yogi. So that is another way of interpreting the same sloka. So he says, who is a sannyasi, who is a yogi? Bhagavan says, a karma yogi is a sannyasi. A karma yogi is a yogi. Not a person who has just renounced rituals, fire rituals. He cannot be called, just because he has renounced fire rituals, he cannot be called as a sannyasi. Just because he has not taken up any responsibilities, he cannot be called as a yogi. Only a karma yogi can be called as a sannyasi. Only a karma yogi can be called as a yogi. That is another way to interpret this sloka. That is how we can interpret this. So Bhagavān is basically praising karma yogi. So here Bhagavān has first given the lakshana of karma yoga. Anashrita karma palam karyam karma karoti yaha. That is the lakshana of karma yoga. Then he is praising the karma yogi in the second line. Sa sannyasi, sa yogi. He is the sannyasi. He is the yogi. Not anybody who has renounced fire rituals can be called as a sannyasi. Not anybody who has renounced actions can be called as a yogi. Only the karma yogi can be called as a sannyasi. Only the karma yogi can be called as a yogi. That is the essence of this sloka. Now we will go to the second sloka. Yam sannyāsamiti prahuhu yogam tad viddhi pandava nahya sannyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaścana. Yam sannyāsamiti prahuhu yogam tam viddhi pandava nahya sannyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaścana. So here second sloka also Bhagavān continues the stuti of karma yoga. In the previous sloka Bhagavān equated a karma yogi with a sannyasi. There he was praising a person who follows karma yoga. Here in the second sloka Bhagavān praises karma yoga. He equates karma yoga with sannyasa. So in the previous sloka he was praising sadhaka. In this sloka he is praising sadhana. There he is equating two persons. Here he is equating two sadhanas, karma yoga and sannyasa. So these two slokas we can say they are karma yoga mahima, karma yoga stuti. So if you go to the sloka, the first line, yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam viddhi pandava. Pandava. O Arjuna, Pandava, yam prahuhu. Yam prahuhu. Yam prahu means that which is called. That which is called. Called by who? Who calls it? Bhagavan doesn't say here. It is those who know the scriptures. Those who know Shruti and Smriti. The people who understand Shastras, they call. What they call? Iti sannyasam. Sannyasam iti, we can say iti sannyasam. That which they call sannyasa, that which they call renunciation, tam yogam viddhi. That which is called as sannyasa, understand. Viddhi means understand. Understand what? Understand that to be yogam. Understand that to be yoga. Here the word yoga refers to karma yoga. See, in the 6th chapter, this yoga word will be used many places. Different places, the meaning will be different. One will say Dhyana yoga. Here we say karma yoga. So we will have to be careful with the word. Same thing with Atma also. Atma can mean self, Atma can mean Paramatma, Atma can mean mind. So it depends on the context. So yam sannyāsamiti prahu yogam tam viddhi pandava. Tam yogam viddhi. Understand that to be karma yoga. What is to be understood as karma yoga? Iti sannyasam. That which is called as sannyasa. So, O Arjuna, that which the wise people call as sannyasa, understand that to be Karma Yoga. This is again Karma Yoga Stuti. Now, are they really the same? Is Sannyasa and Karma Yoga one and the same? Actually, in reality, no. Because in the very next sloka, Bhagavān will give the difference. But why does Bhagavān equate them here? Only to lift Karma Yoga to a higher level, so that we will feel encouraged to practice it. As I said, whenever something is equated, we discussed in the last sloka also, on what basis are they equated? That is what is called as guna vritti, we say. There should be a common attribute between these two, the samanya guna between these two. So in the previous sloka, we saw the common guna between sannyasi and a karma yogi. We saw that to be guna to be renunciation. We said a sannyasi renounces actions and results of actions, whereas a karma yogi does not renounce actions, but he continues to perform duties, but he renounces the fruits of action, and therefore the common guna, the samanya guna, is renunciation. And between Dhyana yogi and karma yogi, we saw the common samanya guna is mental peace. A Dhyana yogi has mental peace, a karma yogi has a relative mental peace. Now here in this sloka, if you come to the second line, Nahya sannyasta sankalpaha. Nahi sannyastak sankalpaha. He means because sannyasta. Sannyasta means renounced. Nahi asanyasta sankalpaha. Nahya sannyasta sankalpaha should be broken down as Nahi asanyasta sankalpaha. Sannyasta means renounced, asanyasta, and asamnyasta means not renounced. Because not renounced, sankalpaha, na kaschana yogi bhavati. Na kaschana yogi bhavati. Nobody becomes a yogi. Yogi means a person who has got mental peace. Samadhanavan. Samadhanavan means mental peace. We say in Tamil, Samadhanapaduthu means bring mental peace to the person. So here Bhagavan says, nobody becomes a yogi without renouncing sankalpa. Asamnyasta sankalpaha. Asamnyasta means not renouncing. Without renouncing. Sankalpa means sankalpa. So Bhagavan says, nobody becomes a yogi without renouncing sankalpa. What is sankalpa? Sankalpa is basically, it refers to the expectations that we have in our mind. We keep bringing it into our mind regarding the results of our action. I did this person should behave in this manner. I did this, therefore I should pass. I did this, therefore this person should return that. Be reciprocative. That sankalpa, that expectations that we keep bringing to our mind regarding the results of the actions that we performed, that is called as sankalpa. Because even when we are performing the action, we would be thinking about the results. What result should come? The result should be favorable. It must come the way I expect. Bhagavan says, for a person who has this sankalpa in their mind, that person will never have mental peace. There cannot be mental peace. Sankalpa means what? The mind is constantly running ahead of the action. Even when I am performing the action, I am thinking of the results. I am living in a future result. What happens if this happens? Sankalpa If it's positively thinking of what I want to have, even or how should I get it, it is sankalpa. If I am thinking negatively, it becomes anxiety. Suppose a student is writing an exam. Even while writing an exam, if the mind is not on the answer sheet, the mind is already thinking, what mark will I get? Will I pass? Will I get more than the other person? Will I be able to get that college that I want? Will I be able to get distinction? What will my parents think about the mark? If that kind of thoughts go in the mind is already living in that result today. So that is called as sankalpa. And because of that, what happens? The mind is not available for the action itself. So the mind will constantly have disturbance. There is a constant element of anxiety, and it will lead to sorrow. Whereas the karma yogi thinks differently. He performs the action. What is a karma yoga? Ishvara arpana. So in Ishvara arpana, what happens? I will do my duty sincerely. I am doing it for Bhagavān. Whatever Bhagavān gives it to me, I am willing to take it as prasada. So I don't need to worry about what sort of results are going to come. Bhagavān will know, and therefore he will give me the result that I deserve. And I will take it, whatever it may be, as prasada. If the desired result comes, if I have some desire and that desired result comes, I will take it as prasada. If it doesn't come also, I will take it as Ishvara prasada. That will give us mental peace. It is not to, whatever Bhagavan is saying is not for helping others, people around us. It is not to help people around us, it is to help ourselves only. But what happens when the mind is full of sankalpa? Even the action cannot be done properly because the mind is constantly worrying about the result. For example, a doctor, if you go, in hospitals, he would be able to perform, he will be a top class doctor, he would be able to perform operations successfully. But if he has to perform surgery on his own child, many doctors would not even do it. They would ask some other doctor to do it. Because it becomes difficult. Objectivity will be lost. Why sankalpa will interfere? And therefore Bhagavan says, nobody becomes a yogi without renouncing sankalpa. Nobody becomes a yogi without renouncing sankalpa. Now we doubt may arise. I am performing action. Why do I perform action? To enjoy the results. So for example, why do I eat? To satisfy hunger. Suppose however much I eat, my hunger does not get satisfied. Will I cook and eat every day? Cooking itself will become tiresome. So naturally, every action is connected to the expectation of results. So I cannot renounce the results of I cannot say, how can I say I'm doing the action but I don't want any result? No. Bhagavan does not say, Shastras also does not say that. A sannyasi renounces both action and results. A sannyasi does not do action, does not take the results also. But a karma yogi, we say he has to perform action but renounce results is what we are hearing. Then why should the karma yogi continue to perform actions? It is what we are saying is renounce the results of the action means take the results whatever it comes. There will be a result. Whatever be the result, take it as prasada. You do the action for that result only, no doubt about it. And you do the action as I am doing it. You will do it, I am doing it, You have that same attitude while performing that action also. But only thing is, I am performing this action not for this person. I am doing that action for Ishvara. And I am doing for that particular result only. But when the result comes, whatever the result comes, I am willing to take it as prasada. That is the attitude change. It is not that I don't want result. Result is going to come. I am willing to take the result. So, a karma yogi, he has kind of renounced the results of the action, in the sense he does not has any sankalpa, he does not have any sankalpa on the results of the action, but he continues to perform duties with niyukta buddhihi. I have been entrusted with these responsibilities, I have to do it, I must do it. These are my responsibilities. Whatever outcome comes, does not come, I will continue to perform these actions. Now the question is, how long must one perform these duties? Some people always say, I am tired of actually doing this constant working. I want to relax. I don't want to work in life anymore. Work in the sense, any action. I am tired of working, whether it be in the house or in the office or whatever it is. I don't want to work anymore. Can somebody stop doing work? No, it cannot. One can stop only if when the waves stop in the ocean, which means it can never happen. Until our last breath, there will be some duties or other. As long as we are in Gṛhastha ashram. Of course, if we take sannyasa, that's a different thing. But even for sannyasa, there will be some duties. Because Sannyāsī also has certain duties. You will have to wake up early, you will have to take shower in a cold shower, you will have to do some japas, you will have to do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. There are some duties for that also. Nobody can sit idle in this world. At no point. But when can a Gṛhastha or a karma yogi can stop doing duties is also there. When the mind has reached a certain level of sattva guna. When a mind has reached a certain level of sattva guna, as in the mind has attained a complete maturity, a sannyāsī level maturity, the person can say, there are no more duties for me. At that stage, duties can drop. So at that stage, we are talking about a sannyāsī. If you remember last chapter, we talked about two types of sannyasa. Vidvat sannyasa and vividisha sannyasa. I am talking about vidvat sannyasa. He's got enormous amount of vairagya. He's got jnana. Once you get jnana, there is no duties anymore. There are no duties anymore. For a vividisha sannyasa, even if you get vairagya, until the time you get jnana, you will have to still do Shravana Mananam. Only thing, your duties will get reduced, but you will have to still perform Shravana Manana in the Dhyāsana. And once you reach that stage of sattva guna, high level of sattva guna, nobody need to tell you, you will have to drop duties. We will drop duties on our own. The duties, in fact, we don't need to drop. The duties will drop naturally. Until that time, we should continue to work. But until the time, we also have this delusion that we are indispensable. What will happen if I don't do my work? Who will do my work? That kind of feeling is always there. What will happen to my spouse if I am not around? What will happen to my children if I don't do my duties? We feel as if everything depends on us. That also is a delusion. But this delusion cannot be dropped suddenly also. We cannot say, I am in delusion, therefore I am going to drop tomorrow onwards, I am not going to work. We cannot say that also. Because if we do that, then it will create further problems for us. Our mind will direct us to do certain other nishidha karmas. Instead of these duties, we will be doing certain duties, certain things that we should not be doing. So when can we drop duties is only when the mind has become sattvic. If we are dropping our duties because of laziness, because out of tamo guna, it will not be helpful. It will only create more problem. But when we drop the duties from sattva-guna, the mind will have clarity, the mind will have peace, there will be no guilt also in us. So until that stage, one must perform duties. And one must perform karma yoga until what? What for are we performing karma yoga? For chitta shuddhi, purification of mind. Because only through karma yoga, only if we get our mind purified, we will be able to get jnana. What is mind purification? No likes or dislikes, no attachment, no aversion, no hatred, no jealousy, no expectation, no anxiety, no pride, no feeling of ego, reduction of everything. The thing is, we are listening to Vedanta. Some people say this. I've been listening to Vedanta, but it doesn't help. Vedanta is not helpful at all. Vedanta is not good enough. Vedanta is only theoretical. It doesn't help people. It's all nice to hear, but it cannot bring out a change. No. Actually, Vedanta is very powerful. Vedanta does not fail because of lack of knowledge or lack of clarity that it gives. Vedanta fails because of lack of purity of mind. Teaching is very clear. Logic is also understood. But if the mind is full of sankalpa, the mind is full of raga dvesha, the mind is full of anxiety, depression and attachment, the knowledge will not stay. Then how do I overcome that? Karma yoga. Karma yoga is not for producing knowledge, but karma yoga is for making the mind and intellect fit to retain that knowledge. That fitness is called as chitta shuddhi. So here Bhagavan says, a karma yogi renounces sankalpa regarding the results of the action. And therefore Bhagavan says, a karma yogi, he compares or he equates a karma yogi with sannyāsī, karma yogi with yogi, karma yoga with sannyāsa. Nobody can become a karma yogi without renouncing sankalpa. This is the key message here. If you want to become a good karma yogi, if you want to follow karma yoga, renounce sankalpa. What is sankalpa? Expectations on results. Not renouncing the results itself, renouncing the expectation on results. Because whatever results, you have to accept it. You cannot renounce the results of the action. That has to be accepted. We do something good to others, they do not reciprocate, they do not even acknowledge, there is no sense of gratitude. We have to accept it as Ishvara Prasada. If we have that maturity, our mind becomes calm. We are ready. We are ready for jnana. We are ready for mental calmness. We can lead a better life. So, here the first two slokas, they glorify karma yoga. Now we'll go to this third sloka. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate arurukshor muner yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate. So this is a very important sloka in this chapter. Now in this sloka and in the next sloka, Bhagavan makes two important points. The first point is, which we are going to see now. First point is, Karma Yoga is the Bahiranga sadhana for Dhyana Yoga. You remember in the first two slokas, Bhagavan just praised Karma Yoga and Karma Yogi. He said Karma Yogi with his same, he equated Karma Yogi with Sannyāsī, Karma Yogi with Yogi, Karma Yoga with Sannyasa. But Bhagavan did not explain why he was praising Karma Yoga there. Because after all, we have started Dhyana Yoga chapter. So why is Bhagavan still praising Karma Yoga? That third sloka answers that question. Bhagavan here says, Karma Yoga is the preparation for Dhyana Yoga. It is the Bahiranga sadhana. Only through Karma Yoga one becomes qualified for Dhyana Yoga. The second point that Bhagavan makes is, in this sloka, he explains the boundary of Karma Yoga, Sima. In other words, there is this question, until when should one perform Karma Yoga? Is that I have to perform Karma Yoga throughout my life? When should I stop it? What is the boundary for Karma Yoga? Because Bhagavan is praising Karma Yoga like in multiple slokas, many slokas. So some may say, why can't I perform Karma Yoga throughout my life? After all, there is also one Shruti Vakya, as in Veda Vakya, that says, Yavat Jivam Agnihotram Juhoti. Agnihotram Juhoti means Yavat Jivam Agnihotram Juhoti. Agnihotram is the Nitya Agnihotra that one must do. One must do Agnihotra for how much karma? Agnihotra is nothing but karma. So the question is, until when one should perform karma? Yavat Jivam. As long as one lives, one should perform karmas. So then the question is, should Karma Yoga be practiced throughout life? Or will there be a stage where duties must be dropped, can be dropped? So that is also being answered here. That question's answer. Whether there is a Sima, whether there is a boundary for Karma Yoga. Now, every sadhana that we do is for a sadhyam. There is a goal for every sadhana. Now, even after attaining the goal, sometimes we may be attached to the sadhana itself, and then we are not willing to let go of sadhana. Karma Yoga is a sadhana, but Karma Yoga is not the final goal. Karma Yoga also has an end point. And that end point is clearly shown in these Slokas, Bhagavan, in 3 and 4. And therefore, these two Slokas also becomes a bridge between Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. When does Karma Yoga end? When does Jnana Yoga start? It is a bridge between action and renunciation. When you are doing Karma Yoga, you are acting. When you are taking up Sannyasa or Dhyana or Jnana, you are renouncing. And that is why Shankara Bhagavad, he refers to this sloka in many places. So in this sloka, first thing, Bhagavan calls out that Karma Yoga is necessary for Dhyana Yoga. It is a must step. And then he also gives the avadhi for Karma Yoga. And here in this sloka, if you look at it, there are two beautiful and important words. They are worth remembering both the words. Arurukshuhu. There is one word. Then yoga rudaha. Second word. Arurukshuhu yoga rudaha. Let's take Arurukshuhu. Therefore, Arurukshuhu. Ruh means to climb. That is the root for this Arurukshuhu. Arurukshuhu means a person who wants to climb, or a person who wants to rise to the next stage. That is called as Arurukshuhu. Now, in this context, what is the next stage? Dhyana yoga. So, Arurukshuhu is a person, one who wants to reach Dhyana yoga. So, that is Arurukshuhu. Then yoga rudaha. This means yoga rudaha means one who has already reached the stage. In other words, one who is already established in Dhyana yoga. So there are two stages of a seeker, of a sadhaka. Arurukshuhu, yoga rudaha. Now for Arurukshuhu, karma yoga is the sadhana. He wants to go to Dhyana yoga, but he is not qualified yet. Therefore, karma yoga becomes his preparation. So for Arurukshu, karma yoga is the sadhana. For the yoga rudaha, renunciation becomes the sadhana. Why? Because he has already reached the stage of Dhyana yoga. He can practice Dhyana. For him, continuing karma yoga is no longer required. In fact, he must renounce karma yoga. This is very interesting, because for so long we have been praising karma yoga. Even today, whenever we say perform your action, do karma yoga, we've been always praising. Bhagavān has been praising karma yoga. But here Bhagavān says that for a certain person, the sadhana for that person, the sadhana itself is to renounce karma yoga. But we must be careful to know for whom is Bhagavān talking about it. It is only for a yoga rudaha, not for everyone. Not for Arurukshu. Arurukshu is desires for Dhyana yoga, but he does not have the qualification. Everyone can desire to become a doctor or to enter an IIT, but desire alone is not enough. Qualification is required. Similarly, a person may desire Dhyana. I want to do meditation. Lot of people have this desire to do meditation, but the mind may not cooperate. Sitting in one place and bringing the thoughts to one focused thought, one thought, is so difficult. Mind has to cooperate. How to prepare the mind? Karma yoga. Through karma yoga, one gets qualified for Dhyana yoga. So, you keep performing actions with the attitude of karma yoga, only then you will be able to stop performing actions and sit in a place. If we continue to perform actions without the attitude of karma yoga, we may not even be able to sit in a place and not do any actions. Unless we perform the actions with that attitude, we will not be able to stop performing actions. So once we let go of karma, sit for dhyana, what happens? That person becomes yoga rudaha, and that time he must drop karma yoga. So this person thinks karma yoga is the one which has brought me to this place where I am able to do meditation. So should I continue doing it, karma yoga? No. At that stage, that person must fully shift to Dhyana yoga. There is the story. There was once a king. His people loved him very much. But what happened was he lost his kingdom in a war. The neighboring king, he lost the kingdom, so he escaped to the forest. He got some ministers with him, he escaped. People still loved him. So now what is his state? He now desires to regain his kingdom. He wants to sit on the throne again. But he does not have the power to fight the enemy. So what will he do? So he needs to build an army. So what he will have to do? He will have to send his villagers. He will send his villagers, send his ministers to the villagers and try to recruit people to gather support. He will take time to study the enemy king's strength and weaknesses. He will have to chart ways to fight, how to create a strategy to defeat the army, the new king's army. So you will have to build a large army. What is his condition? Earlier he had no kingdom, no army. Now he doesn't have the kingdom, but he's got the strength to fight. He has now collected army people. Now suppose if he decides, I will keep building the army forever, without fighting the war, what will happen? He will die without even becoming a king again. So building the army is necessary, but then you will have to put a stop and then say, okay, I cannot do that forever. I will have to stop building the army. I will have to start fighting the war. The same way, Karma Yoga allows us to get to a certain stage. After that stage, we will have to drop Karma Yoga. Arurukshuhu is like the king of the forest. He wants to sit in Dhyana Yoga, but he does not have the qualification. So he must perform Karma Yoga. But once he becomes Yoga Arudaha, he now has the qualification to practice Dhyana. At that point, he must renounce Karma Yoga. And Bhagavān uses a word in this sloka to denote that. It is called as shamaha, renunciation. More on this we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om.